You put a lot of work into your film.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like 7 years, 7 years of production. Yeah. More, probably at least eight, maybe eight altogether, but 7 years of production, shooting and, editing and,
Wow.
everything that went along with it.
You must have a lot of footage.
We do. Yeah. I think I bought a 200 terabyte drive. I don't even remember. It was something, it's like a suitcase, man. You like hold it, it weighs like 30 pounds. You gotta carry it around with you.
Really?
The handle. Yeah. It's great. I didn't know they made such a thing.
No, it's awesome. Awesome. So you've been making films a while.
Kind of, yeah. So with my partner Zuzka Kurtz, who I made Hudson America with, we've been doing films together for like 10 years. And this would be our third film we've done together. And then I did one myself kind of while we were doing Hudson America too. I was sort of working on this other thing, as time permitted.
Okay. What kind of started you, how did you get into film? What made you want to do it? What you decided you want to do it?
Well, I always loved films, as many of us do. And I guess a lot of it was just sort of like, I kind of made like home videos, with my family, and my father would do like a party for his friend, and I ended up just like getting really drunk and like shooting footage of him and his friends, and I kind of like filmed it in a way that like it made a story.
Okay.
And they liked it, and they were like, "Wow, you really did something with this." And then as I was graduating college, I was like, "Well, I better figure out something to do." And I'm a drummer too. I really like drums and percussion. So I went into like audio production at the University of Alabama, which was really audio video, which was really just video. So I went in with the idea of like, I'm going to learn how to make records. I mean, I've done stuff on 4 tracks and things like that. But, that doesn't make records, but you learn how to make records and produce audio. But it's really just video. And I really kind of gravitated towards it. And came up to New York maybe 15 years ago with my girlfriend, now wife, and just kind of fell into the video thing to some degree. It's taken off, thankfully.
Wow. And you just love it.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I still play drums, still do other things. But I have a production company that I do a lot of kind of like more like corporate, kind of fine arts work for, and that kind of like keeps the lights on and is like my day job, which is really awesome. And
which is good because your day job's kind of doing what you like to do anyway.
Exactly, and it's sort of honing skills and meeting people. And a lot of the people that worked on Hudson America, worked on other films that we've done, are people that I meet, working for the clients that I work for with my production company.
You did a lot on Hudson America yourself, though. Your credits. You did cinematography and sound, and you probably helped everybody out.
Yeah. It's a small operation, obviously, and so yeah, I kind of had to wear a lot of hats. And I'm the one with the equipment, and
yeah, right.
So you kind of do as much as you have to. And as time went on, we had budgets varied and our production needs varied too. So to some degree, I was kind of surprised as time went on how much I could do myself, and still get like results that we were happy with. And to some degree with these kids, as time went on and they became more open and more upfront, like in a personal way, just talking about, school and classes and politics. I think it created a more intimate vibe on set too, just with people that they knew and trusted. And
right.
Yeah, so really, I think that made a difference as well in terms of like what we were able to capture in these interviews and on the shoots we had.
Yeah, no, truly. Was there something, some film or some influencer that inspired you to go into film?
No, not really. I liked a lot of stuff. I liked a lot of movies growing up. I certainly liked I don't know, the Tim Burton Batman movies were awesome for me, and like Pulp Fiction. I saw that as a kid at the theater somehow, and some other things that were really innovative. And as I got a little older, Ritu and some of these other, Almodovar, and getting into like Fellini and sort of other stuff, kind of branching out, especially in small town Alabama, really opened up a world of possibility for me. So yeah, I don't know. I always, and again, coming from like a drumming background, I think I like things with the rhythm, and I found rhythm in editing, rhythm in films, that I was able to kind of translate my sense of rhythm too, which I found like really inspiring.
Yeah, no, and I imagine because you've done so many different things on a production, when you're directing something, you know exactly what the electrical guy or the sound guy needs to be doing to get what you want. It's not like you're totally blind on that stuff. It's just
Yeah, more or less. Also work with people that I know and trust, certainly on this film. And, this was a labor of love. People did it because they believed in it, and people stuck with us for 7 years. We had a lot of the same crew. The small crew we did have was a lot of the same people for 7 years. And so people stuck with us. So I was blessed to be able to trust people too. And the other camera guys we had got great footage, and, the sound people and everything else. So it made a big part of this trusting the people you're with and knowing them too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is important. That's why people work with people they know.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you choose this topic, this community, these kids to make a film about? What inspired you to do that?
Really, it was Zuzka, my production partner, who found this story, and we have a kind of unique partnership where she, the 3 films we've done, she's found these interesting stories and been like, this is an idea and something that has legs, something that we can build upon. And then I sort of more like make it happen in a technical sense, and sort of come in with more of like the storytelling and, kind of building upon that. But really it was Zuzka, who she has, she lives close by. So she came in contact with the Bangladeshi community. And they're kind of invisible. They're like, people don't know. In fact, that, our previous screening, there was a lifelong resident of Hudson who still has a house there, and said, he's probably in his 60s, and said he never knew that there was any kind of Bangladeshi community. And it's 1 block over from Warren Street, which is the commercial strip where all the cool coffee houses and, the art house theater that's in the film and everything else is. So they're really very insular and kind of invisible to the public, which I think for Zuzka, certainly for Zuzka and certainly for me, felt like it was an interesting idea to like, see what's kind of open it up and see what's in there. And we were very thankful that they kind of granted us access and trusted us and stuck with us all this time. And we're as open and as candid as they were with us.
Yeah. Well, how did you end up picking the group of kids that you picked? I mean, put like a casting call out, or just ad in the newspaper, or how did you find them?
Zuzka met Ramisa, and basically she had Ramisa put out a casting call.
Oh, really?
In their school, like they're in high school at the time. And so, she was friends. She grew up with all these kids, and basically there were, these were the ones that wanted to do it, and they ended up being like close friends of hers too. So Ramisa kind of like wrangled the kids for us.
Okay,
and then, oh yeah,
because you got a nice diverse group, though. I mean, their beliefs and focus in life was very diverse, as opposed to everybody just kind of being the same. Which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, and I think they become much more diverse as time goes on. I mean, because they all kind of come from the same background, and they're kind of in a similar situation when we start. Then by the end, they're completely, a lot of them are completely in different places and have different life experiences that have kind of informed their beliefs and informed their roles in their lives.
Oh yeah, totally. It reminds me a little bit of that film, obviously over a longer period of time, called 7 Up. Then it was 14 Up, 21 Up, 28 Up. It's very similar. We just follow a group. That's a long commitment, though. 7 years to be shooting. How often did you shoot over those 7 years?
So originally supposed to be 4 years. It was when we started it. We kind of started it in 2015, started shooting in 2016, and the idea was going to be like 2016 through 2020, almost like a presidential cycle that would have coincided with the kids' college careers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, no one thought Trump would win, so that threw something, and that was unexpected. And then as time went on, we just sort of kept shooting, and we'd shoot maybe like, I don't know, 3-4 times a year, and kind of plan it out and try to shoot multiple people when we could. It got harder as time went on because they were spread out. There were different colleges.
Did you have to go to the colleges, or did you wait till they came home for Thanksgiving or whatever?
We went to the colleges some, and then we would often meet them over the holidays, in Hudson, when they'd all be back there, and then kind of talk about what had happened. And really one of the best things we ever did was we gave the kids cameras, which you can probably tell in the film, because you can see Sadiq and some other people are kind of like narrating while they're shooting these little cameras. And so we gave them cameras, which allowed them to shoot themselves on campus, allowed them to shoot themselves in the parents' homes, which the parents didn't really want us in there because, you know, they didn't feel comfortable with cameras. And it's multi-generational families in one home. And, you know, they kind of, they felt awkward about that, which is totally understandable. But the kids could shoot in there and shoot parts that the family felt comfortable with. They took the cameras to like Bangladesh, took the cameras to like Paris and Morocco.
Oh.
And so all that footage we have in there is the kids shooting themselves, which was really a really smart thing we did that paid off really well.
Wow. No, that is really smart. You guys were thinking.
I mean, also it's out of necessity, you know, like necessity is the mother of invention. So it's, you know,
Sure, totally. What was, during the 7 years while you were filming and stuff, what was the greatest challenge, would you say?
I mean, I don't know if there's a single one, but I'd say at first it was just sort of figuring out what this was going to be. Zuzka is a beautiful kind of poetic soul that sort of sees opportunity in things. And for me, I had to sort of figure out what this was going to be. Was it, you know, because it could have been like this experimental art thing, because, you know, she sort of wanted to like shoot a lot of abstract stuff. But then as it turned out, and as time went on, it sort of developed a path, and you sort of started seeing these different trajectories appearing for different characters, and at times they were at odds with each other. Certainly, like Jahed and Mahmouda's trajectories are completely at odds. Like one's sacrificing love for the family, and the other one's sacrificing the family for love. But I think maybe the biggest challenge for me was just sort of like, how do we deal with some of the more sensitive issues, especially as they became more and more forthcoming. And at times we were quite surprised with how forthcoming they were about these things. And some of the things, like, you know, in a weird way, they were much more forthcoming with us, maybe, you know, towards the end, than they were with each other, even though they're lifelong childhood friends. So I think managing that and kind of keeping them, sort of protecting them in a way, and letting them like tell their story, letting them be open, which obviously makes for a more engaging and, you know, accurate, honest portrait of them, while sort of protecting their interests as well, was certainly a challenge. And what do we do with, you know, some of these things, like, you know, some of these things that they kind of confided in us, you know, we put them in the film, but then how do we, you know, like, I guess how we address those was a challenge that I think and on that note, we, as you can see in the film, we showed them the cut, you know, and filmed them watching it, which we were like so nervous about, you know, because we weren't sure how it was going to go. I felt like it could go quite well, but for all I know, they could have turned on each other. Certainly Mahmouda, Jahed, you know, people in different trajectories that they're saying conflicting things in the film, you know, they could have turned on us, and it could have been like, you know, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this. But thankfully, as you see in the film, and actually, you know, I think much more that we didn't put in, they were like very happy and honored and touched by the film, all weeping, and said, you really captured our stories very honestly, and thanked us for it, which was like, you know, really like the biggest sense of relief that we could have felt, because you want to be an objective filmmaker and you want to be kind of cold in that way, but we have like these relationships with them, and, you know, they've entrusted so much in us. You know, the biggest thing was like telling their story honestly, in a way that didn't feel sensationalized, didn't feel like exploitive, didn't feel, you know, quite the opposite of that. It felt like warm and, you know, an accurate representation of what we were given.
Yeah, well, I think you did a good job with that. You know, did any of them go, you know, I really don't feel comfortable with that part, or I don't want you to add this, or did they ask you to do any of that, or?
Yeah, there were a few things that they confided in us personally that they didn't want in the film, and obviously we respected that.
Yeah.
And then there was like a thing or two that it was kind of ironic, a thing or two that was said on camera, but later they were like, hey man, just so you know, like, you know, that's not going in, right? And it was like, to me, like, it was really like benign, like innocent stuff, which I was like, oh, well, I was like, that, sure, I wouldn't have put it in anyway, you know? It was like more like hearsay type stuff that, you know, didn't feel like a, you know, revelatory in any way.
Right.
Yeah, of course we respected those wishes, and Yeah.
Now, did you have like when you were filming them? Were there like many takes on? Because they talk so smoothly, like it's almost like they were scripted, like they were reading the script, but they didn't look like they were reading it. Obviously, did you definitely do like, oh, let's retape that, or what? Because they just talk so well and spontaneously, and
Yeah, I mean, almost never. I mean, I might have said like, if they, I mean, maybe if there, honestly, would likely would have happened is like, oh, there was a hold on, a car passed. Can you say that again?
oh,
Something
right.
like that, or like maybe say like, oh, can you repeat the question and the answer? I mean, at most, but really they are. I mean, what struck me first, my first impression of them in 2016 when we first shot was just how put together they were as young people, and much more put together than I was at that age. And I think a lot of it comes from like necessity. They were like here, they had an opportunity. They didn't take things for granted the way that so many young people do. And that kind of shows in how they speak, how they think, their thought processes, their kind of like life decisions. And to me, I found that really inspiring.
Did your view on that community have a evolution over time as you got into their lives and stuff? And how did that affect you?
Very much. I mean, I think as the and I think Zuzka would agree with this as the. In fact, I know she would. As you can sort of see in the film, I think our perspective is informed by what we're given from them, clearly, along with also the political sphere in which we're shooting. So as it started in 2016, it's sort of a portrait of a underrepresented and invisible community that felt like very interesting. And if you know Hudson, which is now a destination, I mean, it's probably one of the biggest destinations in the New York State as far as people moving there, people vacationing there. It was interesting to see to open up and see this underrepresented, invisible community. Once Trump got elected, the Muslim travel ban, obviously, we were, along with many other Americans, we were like very sympathetic, very protective of them, protective of their religion, protective of their customs, and, sort of heard firsthand how they couldn't bring family members over, heard how it impacted them. Then as time went on, they're building the mosque, and then with some of the mosque, groundbreaking, where the women were not invited, and they invited Linda and the kind of the woman who basically can give them money. And once things like that started happening, and then of course the sexual assault where the guy is getting their neighbors getting bailed out for $20,000, whatever, then more, and the way that he's sort of being protected and insulated. Obviously our opinions are going and our sympathies are going to change based on the information that we're given. But that's really through them. So they really informed our opinions, in real time over the years as they gave us, what was happening in their lives and in their communities.
Right. Did you feel like they gave an accurate portrayal of Islam, or do you know? Or
I mean, it's tough for me to say. I'm not an expert. I've learned a lot through this process. This is really only one mosque in one small town. And, Hudson's a really small town. It's like, I think 2 square miles. And so, so it's really small. And, I think a lot of the people were probably related or, maybe not related biologically, but related, that they know people. It's, there's sort of a pipeline bringing people over. There certainly was, 20 years ago when people started coming over. So it's tough to say whether it's an accurate representation of Islam in general. I think it's an accurate representation of Islam, of this mosque and this community, is seen through the eyes of these kids at this time, which is all that we could do.
Right. Now, this is your third documentary.
With Zuzka, yes.
With Zuzka, is this something? Do you want to stay in documentaries? That's something you want, or do you want to go into live action, or have you thought much?
I haven't really thought that much about it. I'm still kind of like, this thing's like, barely out the door, so
yeah,
kind of
right.
Take a breath and see what's next. But I'm not really sure. I've been very blessed to kind of have things kind of like fall in my lap and be like open to them and realize when the timing is right. Including with Zuzka, meeting Zuzka, doing films with Zuzka, And I think Zuzka shares that as well, and she has a real talent for like sniffing out, things that are happening. Oh yeah, things that are happening in the air and things that are happening that we're like, privy to based on our location or our time and place in the world. So I'll probably just continue doing that, I guess. But I don't know. I could see doing something different. I could see taking some breaks. I have a band I'm playing with. We're doing a bunch of stuff with them. So yeah, I'm not sure. But that being said, Jessica's already talking about a new project, so I'll probably be into whatever she is pitching me next.
Now you shared the challenges. What were the high parts of making this film?
I think the high part, the number one high part, unquestionably, is when we showed them the film and they laughed and cried and thanked us and said how accurate it was, and that even with the negative things and and any kind of blowback they're going to get, because some of them are going to get some blowback like pretty hard from this community. It's an important document of this time, of their community, and it's something for the young generation, is how they phrased it. I think it's in the film too, to learn from. Like it's almost an educational tool that could be used, and hopefully, I think if the film, I think a lot of the value people might find in the film is that it is universal. Even as a kid from like rural Alabama, I was raised Catholic. I didn't have experiences that are even close to theirs, but I can relate to them. And I think like it can. I think there's a lot of universal stories in this film that I think a lot of people and a lot of kids can hopefully relate to, no matter what their background.
So when you were shooting it, as I imagine the whole town, being that it's small, kind of were very aware of what was going on. Are you going to show the movie in Hudson, or have you shown the movie in Hudson?
Oh yeah, we're working on a screening right now in Hudson. I think we're screening at the old Opera House, which is this massive opera house on Warren Street in Hudson. Again, just a couple blocks from Bangladeshi community. As it stands, it looks like it might be in February, just because they're pretty booked up and have a lot happening. But they actually reached out to us, want to screen it there. So it would be kind of like the hometown screening there, and I think all the kids will come, invite their high school friends, invite their families as much as they want to. Yeah, which honestly, when we screened it for the kids, one of the first questions we asked was, "Would you show this to your family?" And they all said yes, even
really?
So
wow,
like unequivocally yes. So that's a real thing that we're looking forward to, is being able to like have this huge opera house Q&A with all the kids and have them be like a part of it. It's gonna be really exciting.
Oh yeah, it'll be tremendously exciting. It's our hometown and stuff. It's like homecoming or home field advantage or whatever. Now, how did you finance it? That's what people always are wanting to know when they're doing young filmmakers.
Yeah. So Zuzka is very well connected. She's been around the block a few times. She has a lot of friends. She makes connections everywhere she goes and makes friends everywhere she goes, including with these kids, and generates goodwill everywhere she goes. So she had a pretty great Rolodex of connections and people that kind of came out, including people from the Hudson community that showed up and contributed to the financing of the film. Also, we got a fiscal sponsorship from New York, the New York Foundation of the Arts, and then we got a New York State Council of the Arts grant through them. So we were really lucky to have a good bit of a good bit of things come our way, and we worked quite hard, obviously, too, and applying for grants and doing all these things that were that a lot of which paid off.
Yeah, is that hard to get, those grants?
It can be. I mean, it's really competitive, as you can imagine, and especially like during pandemic and everything. Everybody's got an arts project. Everybody wants funding. Yeah, I mean, it's it's New York. Everybody, that's probably the most competitive market in the country. That's outside of maybe LA. So yeah, it's super competitive, and we didn't. We went pretty broad for anything that we thought we had a chance for, and we're lucky to get quite a few things that paid off for us.
Okay, wow, well, that's good, because that's always one of the toughest things.
Totally, but I'd also say, for the record, we were committed in a way that we would have done it all, no matter what. It was going to get done one way or another. We were just lucky to have to be able to like not dig in, not dig in personally as much as we might have had to have.
Now, are you going to get a distribution deal out of it?
Yeah, we're talking to a distribution agent right now, and we're also have an educational distributor that's reached out as well. So we're working on that now, but it's sort of a long, as I'm sure a long, kind of involved process. So yeah, we certainly intend to get it to as many viewers and get it as widely seen as possible.
Well, it seems like something that would be really good for PBS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would like, I know you've done work for PBS. Would your contacts there help you be able to open a door for you or anything?
Quite possibly. We're kind of weighing our options, and that would certainly be one of them. And we may do that, but I don't know. It's sort of a weird, changing landscape. I'm sure being in the business. But it's sort of. Our last documentary with Zuzka was like 2015, and I think the landscape shifted considerably even since then. So, we're working through it, but it's like a process. It's just only begun. But PBS is certainly an option, and obviously we want to get it on streaming services and to to as many viewers as possible. Yeah,
well, it just reminds me of the start of the PBS when they do documentaries. The following was funded by, New York. Yeah. It just seems like something that would fit well for PBS.
Totally, yeah.
So if a filmmaker was just starting out and they said, I want to be a documentary filmmaker, what kind of advice would you have for them? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, and this is maybe coming from my past and my, whatever baggage I have, but I would say, like, don't overthink it. Like, I think doing it and, moving forward almost like a shark, never stopping, is much more important than, like, preparing everything. And, I would just say, do it. And no matter what it is, make a little piece on your cat. I don't, anything, like, do something and keep moving. That would be my advice, and to not overthink it, certainly when you're getting established.
Yeah, no, okay, because you'd always fix it in post, right?
Well, and maybe what you do might not be perfect, but I think, like, I think a lot of people, and certainly me, I think a lot of people of the ADD generation, whatever, people start things, don't finish them. People, kind of have grand ambitions that maybe they can't live up to. And I think again, this is just me personally. I'm sure a lot of people might have opposite problems. But I think for me, it would be maybe don't, just like I said before, just do it, don't overthink it. And, do it, don't overthink it. And, just kind of get things out there, and, and you'll learn in the process. That's also for me, I didn't really learn that much in the classroom. I sort of did. I learned doing. And,
well, did you take film classes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I switched my major last second. I was in psychology, just psychology and English, just because I could, they came pretty easy to me. I didn't have to study that much. And I was like, well, I should probably do something that comes naturally to me. But then as I was about to graduate, I was like, I don't think I want to work in either of these fields. So I switched it over to, audio video production, again, to the audio, and ended up just, kind of doing little films in these classes that ended up, being pretty well received, and made me think, well, I could maybe do this, and, got an internship and did some sports videos at University of Alabama, and moved up to New York, and and here I am.
Yeah, did you go to University of Alabama? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, my wife and I both did.
So you're a Crimson Tide?
Crimson Tide, that's right. Yeah, Roll Tide.
Yeah, and isn't that, I mean, if you're in Alabama, I think that's a requirement, right?
Oh, it is, totally, yeah. Although, to be fair to anybody, you might be watching from Alabama, full disclosure, I was born in Auburn. My father got his PhD from Auburn. My brother got his master's degree from Auburn. I have a lot of fond memories of Auburn, so, I'm not a hater either. But, yeah, I mean, I met my wife at Alabama, and, and you can't speak with the dynasty,
Maybe you'll make a documentary on the Alabama dynasty or something.
Right, the Auburn, Alabama,
We have a rivalry. Yeah, right. That would be something.
Right.
So has this place at a lot of film festivals?
No, Portland will only be the second. So we just...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, so it's brand new. Again, talking about distribution and all that. We're just getting the ball rolling with this. I played at Downtown LA Film Festival last month, and that was the premiere.
Oh,
And so this will be the second.
wow. And then are you going to try and go to cans or whatever? And
Yeah, I mean, totally. We're going to submit to a lot of others and see who wants us. Hopefully some other people, and really are. And then that Hudson Hall screening is really what we're excited about, which will be happening after you guys.
yeah, that's not until February, right?
There's up to February, yeah. So I expect there'll be something in between.
In between, yeah.
Yeah, but really that's what we have lined up so far.
Kind of cool if you won some awards and then you can kind of bring it in there with some awards. And
Oh, totally. Yeah. We were hoping,
yeah. Yeah, you have like a big red carpet there in Hudson.
Oh, yeah. And with the kids, they're already kind of like stoked on it. They graduated college and they're, kind of living their lives and, and all doing very well. But, they're really stoked on the film, stoked to have like their faces on the promo materials. And, they're really kind of like ambassadors for the film too. So to see, for them to have that experience, I think will be really special.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they all have moved away from Hudson. Has anybody come back and lived, or are they all scattered, or?
As I understand it, so Jabeen, who's the activist, who creates Jago Hudson, the Brown Survivors Group, she is still in Hudson. I mean, she might be a lifer, She's also the one that's trying to change the community from within, which is really quite admirable. But outside of her, as I understand it, everybody, everybody has left Hudson, so they'll have to come back for this Hudson Hall screening.
You only imagine they will. Yeah. No,
and as we touch on in the film too, I think some of the families have left too because they're getting priced out, and it's getting gentrified, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and it is. No, so when you were with all the footage you had to edit, once you had it all, then that's where you have to kind of shape the story, and I guess that was more your job than Zuzka's, right? It seemed like Zuzka's kind of the big vision, and then you come in, you're kind of the person who kind of takes that vision and makes it happen.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, totally. And obviously I worked with her, and I think pretty much how it would work is I would do cuts, each year, and a lot of it would be informed by, notes we sent each other, and we had like Google Docs with things highlighted and kind of like selects and what we both thought were the kind of like important sections of any given interview or kind of through lines in the film that obviously changed as time went on. And then so I'd kind of do cuts and kind of and then run them by her, and we'd maybe refine them together.
Wow. Okay. So it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just when I look at it, just over the 7 years and how much footage you must have had, and to try to narrow all that down. That's what I've heard documentary filmmakers always say. There's just so much footage. You have to narrow it down and cut things out that maybe you want in there to shape it and stuff like that. That was a big challenge for him.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And, we 6 participants, we'd shoot all 6 of them as often as we could. So, we'd have 6 interviews and maybe not always use them all, but obviously got to go through them and see what's there and, kind of mine them for, little pieces of, little gems that might be in there.
Yeah. Did you, were there any magic moments during the shooting that, you were doing an interview or something and something popped in that just kind of fit that you weren't planning on, or you remember?
Mm-hmm, totally. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is the first shoot we did. It was April 16th, 2016. And it's one of the first shots in the film where the kids are on the playground with the spinning swing set. And Sadiq and Jahed are kind of twirling up the 2 younger Bangladeshi kids, and they're like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And the one kid's like, "I'm ready. I'm ready for life."
Yeah.
No, I'm ready for fun. And then the other kid goes, "I'm ready for life." And then right when they let go of it and it spins and they're screaming, and that to me was like so beautiful in that moment. Especially that kid screaming, "I'm ready for life," right as the thing started spinning, and also the warmth with which Sadiq and Jahed kind of like dealt with them, and just sort of being inside that community for the first time and seeing that was a really special moment for me. And it did make me feel like, oh well, there's like this could be something beautiful.
Wow. Okay. What do you want the film to say about the world we live in? What was your message you're trying to give out from it?
I mean, obviously, I hope people take whatever, is personal to them based on their experiences, their baggage, their hopes, their dreams, their sufferings, whatever it may be. But certainly for me, I hope it highlights the similarities we all share. And, we have much more in common than we do differences. And I think, these kids' stories, and like you said, I wasn't sure, when I first met them for the first time, I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. It was going to be kind of like a culture barrier, a language barrier, an age barrier. And I was like, immediately, saw like kindred spirits. And hopefully, I feel like if this film connects with people, that's what they see too, is kindred spirits. And that, we have much more in common than we do differences.
Yeah. Now, one thing I was impressed with was, even though they had some really diverse beliefs, opposite beliefs in many ways, there didn't seem to be animosity between them necessarily. That I know that sometimes the Islamic community, at least in the Mideast, can be portrayed pretty harshly. Somebody who steps out of line, I don't know if you ever saw the movie, what was the stoning of Soraya M? It was about this woman who was accused of adultery in Iran. But they stoned her, and they show it on the camera. It's pretty horrendous. And
sure, yeah.
But they didn't seem to have that here in your film. They seemed to be fairly civil with one another. Which I thought was really,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and they have a sophistication to them, especially for being so young. That then they can hold even like someone like Jihad, who's becoming more conservative in his beliefs and more connected to the religion throughout the film. He can hold multiple truths in his mind simultaneously. He knows that this is his truth and this is informing his life and his decisions and giving him strength. But he also understands that that's him, and that you are you, I'm me, and that it might not be for everybody. And in that sense, I found he was a really strong ambassador for the religion. Because I think all religions need more people like that can understand that, that it is just their beliefs, which is, can be a beautiful thing, but, they don't have to force it on people, and it doesn't have to inform every decision or every relationship that they have.